Hey guys, it's Dave here, CigarNoise TV, and tonight we've got a very special guest, James Brown of Black Label Trading Company.
How's it going, guys? So I'm James from Black Label Trading Company. Actually, I have a couple brands, Black Label Trading Company and Blackwork Studios. You might also have heard about our factory in Nicaragua, Oveja Negra. Been in the cigar business going on 4 years now, and have started with Black Label Trading Company with 6 lines, and that have steadily been growing it over the last 3 years. Launched Blackwork Studios last year, and that's been growing like crazy also, and we've just been enjoying living in Nicaragua and running our factory.
Round 1. What is the Oveja Negra elevator speech?
Make cigars. But I guess not only do we make cigars, I think, and when we talk about making cigars, for us, it's a little bit different than a lot of people, since we do own our own factory. Things for us are just kind of on the next level in terms of ownership of the entire process. So not only do we make cigars, we make our cigars, and we do it and live it every step of the way, every day. Which I think, in the real scheme of things, that's what makes us a true boutique cigar company.
You presently have several brands, so what's the driving force behind each one? Do you have a different mission statement? Do you have a different concept, themes?
Yeah, with Black Label, that's what we started out with, and when we started, it was the right brand for the right time in the market. So, with our branding, with the coming out with the 6 lines all at once, and the array of flavor profiles that we came out with, that really helped us get our foot in the door when we were just starting out in 2013. And Black Label's grown from that. We do a lot of really interesting LEs, and they come out annually. But overall, it has a very specific feel to it. And when we opened our factory, that gave us the opportunity to really expand things and put out some cigars that we had been working on and had a lot of ideas for that didn't necessarily fit in that Black Label mold, which is what inspired us to launch Blackwork Studios. And as the name suggests, is we kind of treat our factory like a studio space. We're constantly playing with tobacco, coming up with things, and so the cigars for Blackworks just grew out of that. They were cigars that we had been working on and smoking around the factory that we were excited about. And so we kind of slowly developed the brand from there.
Any given time, how many projects do you have resting? How many do you have developing? How many do you have just in the works on any given Sunday?
Right now we have 4 cigars that will be coming out in 2017. So that's kind of what we got going right now. In the past, it was a variation of anywhere between, I would say, 5 to 7 cigars at any one time that we have developed, we have ready, we have artwork for, we have the marketing behind it. We're just waiting for the time to get the cigar out.
If you could describe the characteristics of your cigars as fictional characters, could be celebrities, cartoon characters, books, novels, you name it, how would you describe them?
I don't know, man. It would have to. I don't know any specific characters, but it would definitely have to be in the realm of the bad guys, right? So it'd have to be the dark side, or whatever.
So we talked about it briefly, but I have noticed a lot of successes in the I don't want to call it side projects, maybe private label businesses that have come out of your factory recently. So how hard is it to work with somebody else and do the blending and the artwork and that kind of stuff, and not having sole control to yourself?
I mean, obviously we have to take a completely different approach to it, right? So we've done a couple of different things. So we've worked with people that were just developing their brand from scratch. you know, and that's one thing because, you know, we kind of get to say and work with them in terms of what we want the cigars to be, you know, so that we can kind of put a little bit more of our spin and our flavor on it. If we're developing something from scratch, you know, and then we have projects like we did with Fred with Nomad. And so the difficulty there is, you know, the goal is so that the cigar still tastes like a Nomad, right? Like we don't want it to taste like a Black Label or a Blackworks. So for us, it's just about, you know, it's nice because it gives us the opportunity to kind of step out of our comfort zone a little bit and do things that we wouldn't normally do in our day-to-day production. So it's really cool and it's a lot of fun. And, you know, I think the projects that we have done have worked out really, really well. I'm really happy with the cigars that we put out. We did the Cavatina for Emilio, and that was really fun because the owner, Scott, just wanted us to have free reign with the artwork, with the feel, with everything. So that was really cool to develop that whole cigar. And I think it really stands out as something different in the Emilio lineup, which is what we wanted to do. You know, we worked with a really good batch of Viso SLE that it was just a really, really pretty tobacco, like really soft, lots of finesse and interesting characteristics to it, very floral. And it was a characteristic in that tobacco that we didn't normally use in our regular production. So we had it and we weren't quite sure what we were going to do with it. And so when Cavatina came along, that's what we ended up working into it that I think makes it a really special cigar.
We hear about balance a lot from the blending aspect, particularly. Can you talk to us about balance and from the blender's perspective, what goes into it to create a balanced cigar?
The hardest thing I would say in blending a cigar is to create balance. And by balance, what we mean is that kind of everything works in sync. And that's really what you want, is you don't want anything to overshadow another. You know, when you think about all the elements that you're trying to put together, the subtleties of each tobacco, you really want to be able to experience each one of those on their own. And so when we talk about a very balanced cigar, you know, it's something that's going to be not overpowering with spice, not overpowering with strength. The richness and the subtleties of the cigar will come through and really show what the tobacco is all about. The big problem that we face a lot actually making strong cigars is the balance between flavor and strength. Because very strong tobaccos have a tendency to kind of overwhelm the other tobaccos that you put with them. And a lot of times, if you don't have everything right, you're really going to get a lot of strength, but not a lot of richness and not a lot of depth of flavor. So that to me is a cigar that's not balanced. When you have just one prominent flavor profile going on, then it didn't work. But you just want to make sure that, you know, I'm sure you've smoked a cigar that is over the top strong, and at the end of the day, there's just not a lot there behind it. You know, behind the strength, behind the nicotine, it just doesn't have a lot of interest to it. A lot of times those cigars tend to fall very short on your palate. You know, you get a blast of flavor up front, but there's no finish to it, you know? So you want those layers of flavors and complexities that kind of linger and come through, and they'll definitely change throughout the smoking experience.
So what's the one question that you were hoping to answer, man?
I don't know. How about that 94 from Half Wheel?
Talk to us about it.
It's just, I think it's great, man. I'm super stoked about it. So, you know, I'm really happy with it because it was the Bishop, which is a cigar that I worked on for a really long time. The Bishop has been kind of here and there and ready to come out, not ready to come out for almost 2 years now. So we were just really kind of waiting to get it just perfect. And the thing about the Bishop is it's not a cigar I could have made 3 years ago. So for me, it's kind of something that shows everything that I've learned over the last 3.5, 4 years about blending cigars, and I think it shows a very nice balance, like we were talking about, and super complex flavors. So no, it was cool. We're super stoked about it, and happy that everybody's liking the cigar.
What's it like raising a family in Nicaragua, man?
For us, it's not that strange, but my wife and I, we haven't lived in the U.S. for 15 years. Our son was born in Africa, so I don't know. For us, it's just kind of normal. But if we had moved here from the U.S., obviously it would have been a big change. But we've lived in Latin America for about the last 6 years, so Nicaragua, it's cool. I mean, Esteli is Esteli. I mean, it's a very blue-collar Nicaraguan town, and we work all day, every day, come in on Saturdays. I guess the downside to it is it's pretty monotonous. It's kind of Groundhog Day every day, and kind of twiddle your thumbs and not really know what to do on the weekends. But outside of that, I mean, it's good. It's super laid back, and our son goes to a great school, and it's nice.
What is the most obscure piece of cigar knowledge you can drop on us, man?
I don't know how obscure it is. I mean, I think a lot of people don't know this, and we talked about it some when you guys were here. But to me, it's one of the coolest things is here in SLE, a lot of the places where we buy tobacco, the thing with filler tobacco, when you're telling the difference between Ligero, Viso, Seco, it has nothing to do with what the leaf looks like. It has nothing to do with the size of the leaf. It has nothing to do with the color of the leaf. It's 100% about the texture of the leaf. And so it's so much so for the texture that places here actually employ blind people to do the tobacco sorting, so that their judgment on whether something is Viso or Ligero isn't affected by what the leaf looks like. And so I think that's a pretty cool little bit of knowledge about the tobacco selection.
Oveja Negra, it translates into black sheep. Do you feel that the term is still applicable, considering you're one of the most well-known boutiques out there right now?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think we're still, as much as we can, trying to push the boundaries a little bit. We still get shit for calling a cigar morphine, and we get people talking about the artwork and this and that. And so in that regard, yeah. And I mean, I still think we're the black sheep because, basically how we choose to run our business and how we choose to make cigars. There are not a lot of companies out there that do what we do, with the time that it takes, with our attention to detail, and with our no compromises on how we create our product. So yeah, I think it's definitely still applicable. But we're growing, which is great. But we still don't want to be too big. So we try to keep it contained. The Blackworks stuff is a perfect example. I mean, we're selling out of Blackworks before it even leaves the factory. And retailers are hitting us up. We need more, we need more, we need more. But I mean, we're not going to change the way we make our product. We say we make 100 boxes at a time, and that's because we make 100 boxes at a time. And if we change that, then people wouldn't be going nuts for the cigar. They love the cigar because the time it takes and the attention to detail to making it properly. So we're still very much focused on that, and trying to grow, but definitely not as fast as we could, but taking our time with it and keeping true to what we believe is the best way to make a cigar.